What's up, family? Oh, man. What a day, what a day, what a day. Oh, man. I know it's election day, but I'm here. My day and 15 minutes late, but I'm here. Um, Yesterday, what's up, Lens? Oh, man. I know a lot is going on around the country right now. Um, but before we get into that, just like I always do, giving a shout out to the sister Aries Owens. Wow, almost fucked up her last name. Aries Owens, giving a shout out to her and her book. I keep telling y'all, go get her book, cop her book. Hear Me Out by Aries Owens. You can follow her here on Facebook, and you can follow her on her IG page, where she posts stories, thoughts of the day, and different quotes of the day. Some of the quotes that she do post is from her book, Hear Me Out. So go cop it. Like I've said before, it's well written, well worded, and I've read it more than a few times. That's how much I enjoy it. What's up, Mr. West? Uh, so here we go. Let's pull you in. All right. So also, real quick, my aunt, man, I got some background, so y'all just won't see me in the bare wall. So my aunt did these paintings, man, and you know, I appreciate her. Hey, Stace, I
I
appreciate her. Go follow her on her Facebook page. Her name is Kim Black. Um, you can request her um, to do a painting for you personally. If you have some type of ideas, she posts some of her paintings on her page as well. I will post some more of her paintings, the pictures that I've taken. Stacy, turn your volume,
what do I gotta do?
your volume. I'm hearing everything. um, so
Where do I
yeah,
have to pull over?
all right. So her name is Kim Black. Like I said, she did these lovely paintings for me. My daughter, baby girl, picked two of them out. So they were painted when one of the paintings was done when my husband was going through her bout with cancer and chemo and everything. Um, so it's called The Crack of My Soul, which is this one over here. I will show y'all more later. Um, Show y'all each individual paintings. Like I said, she does lovely work, inspired by the divine. So I don't know where the fuck she went. As soon as she come back in, we're gonna talk a little bit about this election and everything that's going on around the country. Then the second part of tonight's conversation, we are going to discuss trauma bonding. Um, and we're going to break down what that is. I know some people know what Stockholm Syndrome is, and it's similar to trauma bonding. And so we're going to discuss that a little bit. Um, I know, as far as the election go, I know that this country is divided heavily. I know that some people have, a lot of people, I won't even say some, a lot of people who I've spoken with, their whole thing is to get Trump out of office. All right, here we go. Let's bring her back in. Um, their whole thing is just to get Trump out of office, with no agenda, with the reasoning why they want to put, um, I guess, because he was. All right, Stacey, can you hear me?
I can. Is it really crazy sounding for you?
Okay. Okay.
Distorted?
No, no, it's good. It's good. Um,
Okay. I'm getting off this exit, so I'll be stationed here in just a moment.
okay, cool.
But I'm good.
All right. So
I'm safe.
bringing
or
you
like highway in
bringing
front
you
of
into the conversation. I was just talking about um, as far as the election and everything, and how crazy everything has been, even up to now. Um, I mean, what are your some of your thoughts uh, as far as what's going on?
you chopped up a lot with that. So, as far as what with the
The
election?
elect the election, like, what are your thoughts as far as 45
Not
and Biden and the division of the country, the division of culture? The division has always been there. I personally just think that with 45 in office, it's just become more prevalent. Um,
correct.
be-
Yeah.
because I mean, even throughout history, um, nothing has really changed. I think that we've learned to cope with a lot of things, but I don't think a lot of things have really changed.
No, I'd seen a lot of you where what changes. I mean, different laws, but everything evolves and everything has changed. But you almost even see, well, you do see nastier sides of people who want to cut it one way or another. It just, I don't know. I see where is everybody going more with humanity, like, or less with humanity, and just more on this is my type of person, which is to me it's just sick. Like I was almost sick trying to go in to the polls today when I did, and I've actually had a number of people who said they voted, just picked a name and randomly was trying to write somebody else in. Like there were a number of people that I know that just did not want to make the choice either. They had a hard time.
What?
I don't know.
What? I mean,
Lots of pressure.
did you vote today?
I did.
So,
I didn't want to, but I did.
so
I'm telling.
what was your setback as far as voting?
Just the boat. I am. You talk face. You talk lies. You're talking people. It's not. Never. I mean, 4 years of standing for their word. Then you got the other one who's going 8 years, and everybody's going back and forth with this petty stuff. I've heard so many kids, children, and teens say we went to that 50 Black Man March through the weekend.
Hmm.
There was a younger man that I got to talk with who he was telling me about his thought and the voting, and he said this exact same thing was, wow, this is usually when I deal with a leader, it's somebody I want to look up to. And who am I looking up to while I'm watching these debates? And they're going back and forth like kids in a school, doing undercut punches of their just different things. It was a very sad moment to see when you're talking to talk that you respect someone. What's to respect on it? But and also at the same token, I think are we putting so much in a position? He does have the authority, but it's also everybody he's surrounding with too. So where is it that anybody wants to stand up for a purpose? Why are you voting and what is actually going to change? And as everybody says, how is somebody now going to be held accountable?
Okay. Um, I know you had you spoke about faith earlier. So if
Mm.
so,
This wasn't originally a topic, was
no,
it?
this is going into it. Um,
Okay.
because we're doing two segments tonight. So with it being election day, and and everybody, I know part of this election, um, I personally did not and am not voting because I don't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
especially being a black man without an agenda, whether we put the head of the snake in office or whether we put the tail of the snake in office, it's still a snake. You know, we
Yeah.
still have to be concerned with being bitten. So without an agenda specifically for foundational Black Americans, my thoughts and opinion is, what are we doing?
Correct.
And even in the debates, when spoken as far as systematic white supremacist racism, I know 45, he sent out a dog whistle to the Proud Boys, which is a known um, white supremacist terrorist group. And instead of denouncing them, his exact words was stand down and stand by. Now,
Hmm.
being former military, when your leader tells you to stand down and stand by, it's telling you to stand at the ready, meaning, be trigger ready, don't go nowhere, but just stay silent for this moment in time. So even in the conversations that I've had today, and the crew that I roll with, agree or disagree or impartial, we respect each other's opinions and thoughts and concerns, but we are respectful enough to share and voice them. So that was my whole thing. As far as without an agenda for my culture and my people as foundational Black Americans, where do we go now? Is being on the end of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't
Hmm.
see politicians pandering for the white vote, and in the sense of it's the vote is threatened. Is scare tactics are used. It's just you vote for whoever you vote for. Am I wrong?
Correct. There is the scare tactic going on of right now, regardless if you're white or black, that's supposedly going with I can't remember. There was an email going around saying if you don't vote Republican, that they supposedly had the information out there to be able to go to your house and harm you. That there was a number of people, and they were saying if you ever got an email like this, that you were supposed to send it in to the feds to be able to come in and check into that.
Well, see,
I don't know if you heard about that.
no, I didn't. This is actually the first time that I've heard of it. That sucks and it's fucked up. Um, but those are the same tactics that are used against us on a consistent basis.
Correct.
So I mean, and I think what and please, share your thoughts and opinions about it. I think that a lot of the country now is getting. I know that I read an article today that it said that I know in Cleveland alone, 51% of eligible voters have come out to the polls versus 2016. So I think that with 45 in office, it's just not foundational Black Americans being attacked anymore. Everyone's being attacked, and I think that's what everybody is fearful of. I don't think that the fact that we are essentially being targeted. I think because now 40, if you go against
Yeah.
his agenda, he's coming for the jugular.
Correct. That's what I mean. Like even with that email, like it's trying to go against whoever to say it better be me. And if it's not me, then prepare for something. I mean, how many riots and that one bridge? I can't think of what state it is that was shut down with the Trump train hanging and not letting people come across it. That was just a couple days ago.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think that was blocking from a voting booth from voting. But so it's all this stuff that you're persuading one way or another. You're trying to you're trying to incite fear to either not do it or do it and it better be me type of thing. I don't know. The whole thing is just that. I mean, to think, and then the law that even then just passed today. I was like, are you kidding me with the hysteria books? Like, seriously, let's block not only tell part history versus all of our full history. That we need to be saying that regardless, because you think you want to cherry coat. If you cherry coat, you are never going to get to the trauma that you've started within the country.
Well, I mean, history is subjective anyway. You know, excuse me, and we know that. Me and Ethan, we study history fervently. And just as far as the ideology of things, and I mean, this country has always been that way. And
Yeah,
as I have mentioned before, I think because now it's just not targeted towards one group of individuals. Everybody is getting smacked. He attacks women. He attacks the Latin community. He attacks the LGBT plus community. Like everybody's getting smacked. And
yeah,
I think that one of the things that I've discussed with some of my brother and my sister, as far as FBA, is we had just as many deaths, with suspected white supremacists posing as police officers when Obama was in office, as we have when 45 has been in office. But
hmm.
because the head is not an agitator, I think a lot of times we don't pay attention to history, when we're being pandered to.
To speak of history of the one I just got to see today, that oh gosh, now I'm gonna have to pull it up, but it was 100 years. We're dealing with the same stuff with the worst race. Um, oh gosh, where's the? It was Oh, Lord.
Long day,
So it was
long day.
of 100 years ago, the same type of uprising that we had or that we're having now due to racial injustice happened over 100 years ago. But the history of it, we are not looking at it. And that's so we are now in the same boat. I didn't get to finish reading that full article on it. That I mean, that it is uprised again. We're in the uprising again for it. Like you said, a lot of it we having and how much attention, because so many things, even like at the beginning of COVID, everybody's talking about COVID. Now everybody's talking about the presidential. Nobody's talking about the 5G. And now they want to sit there and do our injections to just don't.
Well, me and you've had that conversation a while back, discussing the chaos theory. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and um, as far as those who are in the upper echelon, which some would call the cabal, um, who run different countries, and then you have a major cabal who actually oversees the authorities of the smaller cabals, and they create the chaos and then present you with a choice of A or B, which is no choice at all, and then fear bait you into making one of the choices in those, and telling you that those are the only choices that you have to make.
Yeah.
So, I think it's prescribed, personally, so, for me,
So
it doesn't matter um, who they select or who they have selected to sit in that seat. Um, at the end of the day, I'm still a black man, you know, and
Correct.
where everybody else, if they have already selected Biden to sit in that seat, the rest of the country gets to go back into their shells, you know, so
Yeah.
to speak, and become oblivious again. With 45, as I, you know, said earlier, everyone is getting smacked in the face, you know, by, you know, the person that they thought was going to protect them within this evil system of white supremacy. But, you know, now that, you know, he's even serving white people up on a platter, everybody's like, okay, well, we got to get him out, you know. And then you have those radicalists that have been bred with that type of ideology of quote unquote the white purification race, you know. So, and these are who his diehard followers are, you know, and
Yeah.
these are the ones that's riding around, you know, with threatening people, you know, with 12 gauge shotguns and, you know, AR rifles and every assault rifles and everything, you know. And you know, for
Why does it get,
go ahead.
why does it get that point?
But it's always been to that point. They've just been waiting.
Correct. The waiting for the point that they are actually starting to feel in part powerless, because that's when then you start rising up more. And this could be a point that they could actually slip, which in a number of ways already has happened. But the whole thing on the other side is also, you've got to keep pressing where they are starting to feel getting inferior, that they have to put their chest out, sit there and try to instigate panic and fear. I mean, that is a psychological pattern as well. Anytime when you're starting to feel that you can't cover lies, when you can't, you're running out of fear, exactly that chaos pattern.
Well,
It starts rising.
well, with the system of white supremacy, that's what it's completely based on. It's based on fear, you know, and I
Correct.
mean, so, you know, their uprising, they feel that their system that protects them to do whatever they want is being torn down, you know, and without the system in place, you know, they have no power, you know, they
Yeah.
have no power, absolutely. So the question that I want to pose to you before we move on, because you know,
That's why I was just saying right now.
uh, so
I'm scared.
with you being um, a faith-based person,
Ugh. Yes, sir.
if 45 was if 45 has already been selected to sit back on the throne, to sit back in the presidential seat, would you deem that it is the will of God?
Mm. Well, faith-based, when you're talking how many people were put in that position, and not necessarily saying God can use anything. So that's bottom line. Do I think it was in his will? Some things God will still use. So yeah, I mean, regardless of how we get somewhere, it might have not been the set plan, the set will, but we will get there. His purpose is not going to stop.
So with your 155 words, that's a
I can't
yes.
tell you. I don't know about the will thing. How I just know whatever the scripture, whatever the devil meant for harm, God can turn it around for his glory.
So
So
that's a yes.
I'm still not going there.
I know you're I know you and
Just
I know you're trying not to say it. Um And I've asked multiple people that question, who have um, their whole thing is let's get him out, let's get him out, let's get him out. And I said, okay, fine. If he doesn't, if the cabal has already put in place for him to sit back there, will it be the will of God? And you have some that have been able to answer, and some who, they wasn't able to, and that's fine. That's fine either way.
So when you say it, because you get down to talking of the will, we have free will. So bottom line, regardless of it being his will, whatever the people want. I mean, there's scripture. Whatever the people want, give them it.
But
You want bread? Go right ahead.
we know
So
studying politics though, that the people don't choose who sits in that seat. It's the powers that be that choose who sit in that seat. I say we vote to feel as if we've contributed, but they've already selected who they're going to sit there. I think that they thought they had some inclination that they would possibly be able to control 45 in a certain extent, um, or maybe the opposite end of the spectrum. Maybe they knew, exactly who and what he was, and they put him there to allow him to stir up this chaos. And that goes back to the chaos theory of planned chaos. So, but
yeah.
that's that. That's that. I just wanted to ask you that before we moved on. So,
And your thought, how are you going to do it to me and not give your thought? Because you do that often.
yeah, I mean, I do. That's what I'm supposed to do.
And,
I mean,
we're rolling it back.
I believe that if he gets back, I believe that they've already selected who they're going to put there. And for me, it doesn't matter whether it's him or whether it's Biden. The fact of the matter is, neither one of them, when it comes to foundational Black Americans, neither one of them has our best interests at their heart. They have no intentions of doing anything for us. So it doesn't matter for me personally. I still have to be concerned.
It still matters if it gets in, though, that now you have 4 years, because it should have been done ahead of time, but to still continue to press for something to be done within that time.
I mean, regardless of who's in there or not, without an agenda, it doesn't matter for us.
Correct.
We still have to fight against the system, and it's just not blatant racism, but it's redlining.
The hospital.
It's economic deprivation. All of this has been going on since Lincoln um, was forced to sign the
Yeah.
proclamation, because he didn't do it by choice. It was an economic decision. And so, we've been fighting this fight since my great 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 ancestors have been here. So I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
without an agenda in place, without economic resources, without us allowing to take care of ourselves, it doesn't matter. Because we still have to be concerned um, with being pulled over by officers who wear that badge, who has ill intentions towards us. We still have to be concerned about that. Like I said earlier, regardless if it's the head of the snake or the tail of the snake, we still have to be concerned about the entire snake. So that's just my thoughts.
Snake can wrap like a coil around you.
Huh?
That snake can wrap like a coil around you.
Yeah. So
these spiders crawling them.
One of the things that we have discussed on numerous occasions have been relationships. You on because one of the things that I've been looking into and studying as of late is trauma bonds when it comes to relationships, and I mentioned that earlier Trauma bonds is the same as what I said earlier. I can't yeah.
You said.
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm pulling up. All right, Stockholm syndrome. Trauma bonds are similar. They're not exactly, it's not exactly the same. But it's similar to Stockholm syndrome. And we know Stockholm syndrome is when someone who is captive falls in love and creates an emotional attachment to their captor. We know that's what Stockholm syndrome is. And
no, thank you for informing me though.
huh?
I didn't look that one up. You didn't tell me that one. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
Oh yeah. Okay. I got man. Okay, I missed some of the comments.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to say what they are.
Okay. Yeah. Let me go back before we continue because I got this article up and I want to read part of this article by the psychologist in Psychology Today. But before, when we were speaking as far as the election, Myron Newson, one of the homies, he said, "So confusing when you know neither means you know one of the lesser of evils." He said, shaking my head. Um, you don't have to pick the lesser of two evils. You can easily opt out. That's also a choice.
Yeah.
Um, oh, and then Aries, Aries chimed
But
in.
you okay, go back to that point even. Like, because that's where I said my internal struggle this morning, like feeling like you have to do it because everybody's made it such a thing that you're doing your part, you're making your, when yet that was the internal struggle, that the part can be just not playing the part.
Exactly. Oh, and then Aries said that she loved your braces.
Thank you.
Oh,
After
and
27
then
years of saying I was gonna do
my one of my family members said you even have to watch the people that say they are trying to help. They put a link down below. I'll have to check that link out a little bit later. But thank you, family. Um,
it.
but yes, and you do have to watch out for that as well. So we can get a better understanding of trauma bonding. And this was just one of the many articles that I was reading. I got a couple books that I'm reading about trauma bonding. Um, um, and so I'll post the information, both of them books up. Remind me, Stacy, to do so after the show, to post the two books.
Do so after the show.
Yeah,
I will.
excuse me, to post that information up. But this specific article was written by Sherry Gaba. I hope I am pronouncing her last name correctly. It was written in Psychology Today. Now, Sherry is a licensed psychotherapist and author who specializes in addictions, codependency, and underlying issues such as depression, trauma, and anxiety. So
Hmm.
she's the one who wrote this article
Interesting.
um, in psychology
How old's the article?
Today. What was that?
How old's the article?
Uh,
Do you know?
yeah, of course I know. It was written last year in May.
Okay, just curious how fresh.
Um, she said trauma bonding is similar to Stockholm syndrome, in which people held captive come to have feelings of trust or even affection for the very people who captured and held them against their will. This type
So the slaves.
This type of survival strategy can also occur in relationship. It is called trauma bonding, and it can occur when a person in a relationship is in a relationship with a narcissist. Within a trauma
Mm-hmm.
bond, the narcissist partner, who often has codependency issues, feels first feels loved and cared for. However, this begins to erode over time, and the emotional abuse takes over the relationship. The codependent understands the change, but not why it is occurring. They believe they just need to understand what they are doing wrong in order to bring back the loving part of the relationship. If they do not manage to break free, all the narcissist has to do is go back to that courtship phase to win them back. The more the codependent reaches out to the narcissist for love, recognition, and approval, the more the trauma bond is strengthened. This also means the codependent will stay in the relationship when the abuse escalates, creating a destructive cycle. Now,
Wow, I really have to look into that.
yes, indeed. So, like I said, for the past few years, I've been studying relationships, not just in the physical sense and aspect, but also emotionally, psychologically, and also spiritually. Um, and so this part of my studies came about. I was listening to um, an influencer. I can't even remember who it was, but I was listening to a snippet, and the trauma bond it resonated with me. So I started doing some research about it, and I even told E last week that that's going to be the topic of discussion for this week. And he just looked at me. He was like, "Man," and I said, "Yeah," and so because I wanted to ask. I know looking back and doing my research, I always go within first before I bring any topic of discussion, to the show and to the platform. But I know that throughout past relationships, some of those relationships were trauma bonds. Now, we know, where did you go? All right, there you go. Hello. Um, we know that a lot of trauma bonds, or not even trauma bonds. Let me go back. We know that a lot of trauma happens. It usually starts from childhood. Whether we receive something, whether our parents may have been too strict, too demanding. I've even heard um, like fathers being too hard on their daughters, extremely hard on their sons. As far as being hard on their daughters, they usually try to keep them in a box, and try to keep them contained versus experiencing the world for themselves and just guiding them through them with a helping hand. With the fathers and sons, because they don't want their sons to make certain decisions and mistakes that they did, they can be extremely hard on them as well. And as far as mothers and children, I've heard mothers, get upset at what the child or children might do or say. And one of the first things that may come out of their mouth in in an angrily tone is, "You just like your father." You know what I'm saying? Or, I wish he would just come and get you. And, you know, even fathers have said, "I can't wait till your mother come and pick you up. You getting on my nerves." You know what I'm saying? And that is traumatizing to a child because you are supposed to be the one that nurtures them, that cares for them, that teaches them, that holds their hand
And doesn't give up on them.
and picks them up when they fall. And so a lot of times throughout our childhood, if those issues and those traumatic experiences have never been addressed, we become, as we get older, those are the type of relationships we look for.
Oftentimes, yes, if you don't know the trigger, we are going to go right to there. And if you don't actually, and even still, because there was something else I was reading, were shown to me about different things that you don't even understand that they start getting passed down generationally.
Mm-hmm.
Certain fears that can start coming out regardless if they were traumas that were truly impacted firsthand upon you,
Mm-hmm.
but you can receive the same traumas generationally, fears and different things that have been then passed down as well.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
It's distracting. So, bottom line, yeah, there's different things that when either moms or father, just your role in general, that we take on, and we are looking to them for a lot of stuff that we may not get. And then when we don't get it, how many times you are end up looking for a father type thing in a relationship, or a certain aspects of missing mom link, or there's just different things that you will start wanting to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily at the same token you're seeing it and then get revolted by it at the, like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Even though without realizing that that's what you're drawing in, there's something still missing there.
And that's and that's why I've asked you on occasions. I've even the thought of today, which I will have to find because I can't remember it. um,
And
so
I don't have
while I'm pulling this up, so one of the things
something about a narcissist.
one of the things that you had that you had mentioned as far as the relationships type, whatever we didn't get or however we saw our parents respond and interact with one another, um, and it can be the toxic parts of that relationship, and that's what we look
Mhm.
for because that's what we have been shown that that toxicity is
Normal.
normalized, is normalized.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know in the streets, one of the things that 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 I have said um, is that crazy women have some of the best yoni, and that's actually part of a toxic mentality. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like um
Sure.
it's been embedded in me, you know, and even some of, I know the bad boys that a lot of women are drawn to, even though they are toxic, you know what I'm saying? The things that they move that cervix to the left or the right. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we deal with somebody's toxic nature um to get that moment of feeling, you know what I'm saying, which
Correct.
releases toxins in our brain, and
Mm-hmm.
so that emotional feeling that we get that has released those toxins in our mind, that's what we try and hold on to. So
Well, and it grows them, and they actually cause work. I mean, it deepens it.
right, right, and that's part of the trauma bond, because we know that the relationship is toxic, but to have that belief and faith that the relationship is going to get better or going to um, be like it used to. So we hold on to that relationship. And then when our partner shows us that brief moment or that glimpse of how things used to be, excuse me, what you just said, that bond is strengthened. That
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, Zoe Williams said it in his book, The Entanglement. In that book, he coined that phrase in the book of the relationship dismount, how to stick the landing while exiting a toxic relationship. Um, and I've brought that book forth many a times, and you know, people they hear the title, and I know a lot of people they be like, you know, it's a breakup book, but it's not, because if you really want to strengthen
No,
if
yeah.
you really want to strengthen your relationship in a good place, and you want to strengthen it while evolving yourself inwardly, and becoming the best
Great.
version of you, that is a great book to have in your arsenal.
I've enjoyed it.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes you look outside, and that's with everything, is trying to think outside. If you can get to the point, even in toxicness,
Uh-huh.
to start seeing your own toxic behavior, but then the balance is, because I can have that tough balance of not focusing on it so long
Mm-hmm.
and not getting so shamed over it.
And sometimes the lesson that the toxic individual that we're in a relationship with they might be trying to show us, in a spiritual form of evolution, is the insecurities that we might need to deal with within ourselves. Because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, because they provide stimulation, they provide a level of comfort, they provide what's the word that I'm looking for? Man, uh, bear with me. I got pages up. Bear with me. This is where's it at? Where they provide a specific type of sustainability. And so we stay within that toxic relationship, knowing that individual isn't no good. They're overbearing. A lot of times, and we're going to get into the definition of what a narcissist is here briefly in a moment. But while in that relationship, it's almost a balance of toxicity and then positivity. So they'll feed us, they keep feeding us breadcrumbs while verbally abusing us, psychologically abusing us, emotionally abusing us, while manipulating us. Huh?
Yeah, gaslighting.
Gaslighting. Yes, yes. While manipulating the situation. while while they manipulate the situation to get what they want. And then when we ask for a need to be met, they demonize us for that need, even asking for that need, or some type of intimacy from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to get your thoughts. So today's question of the week, that I posted this morning, if your standards are egotistical and or narcissistic, excuse me.
Or both.
If your
You
standards
said and or.
if your standards are egotistical or narcissistic, how can you attract anything else? Now, I had because when I post the thoughts of the day and the questions of the week, I always tag it with my Facebook page or also with my IG. One person answered that question, and it was a powerful response. And I'm still waiting for them to just elaborate, because I love their response. And their response was, "Hey, what's up, my sister?" Rashonda jumped in. "What's up, Miss Cody?" So one of the things that one of the portions of the answer that was given was about energy. And if you believe in the law of attraction, you get what you give. So if you're getting some type of toxic energy from a person, there's something in you that they're trying to get you to see within yourself that needs to be dealt with.
True.
You're right, family. He said, people like that generally attract low self-esteem people. Yes. And narcissistic people are low self-esteem people, low energy and low vibration people. And when we are
I don't know if you say low energy, but definitely low self-esteem.
low energy is low self-esteem. It's just different terminology. What
I think you can run.
when
You.
what do you
I know people who that just really have low self-esteem, but honestly, you have people. many males that I even know that they run around high energy, high ego, and they actually have some of the lowest self-esteem around
Because you know why? It
because it's a cover-up.
exactly. That's all it
Yeah.
is. So
Mm-hmm.
there's and I promise you, the person who is pretending to have all of this high energy, a lot of times, when you get to the bottom of it, they have low self-esteem issues. Um,
Yeah.
Energy begets energy. That's the polarity of everything. So okay, all right. So understanding. Oh shit, damn! I just realized what time it was. Woo.
Okay.
So family, this
I am.
this is family. This is what happens when there's a guest on the show. It is usually
Did
extended from 30 to
exclusive.
45 minutes to longer. So we're gonna go another 15 minutes. So the signs of a narcissist. It says narcissistic personality disorder. Um, Says one of several types of personality disorders. Of course, we know that. We know there's multiple. Is a mental condition.
Mm-hmm.
Is a mental condition in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for
Hmm.
excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. Now we know, I don't speak in absolutes. Everything is interchangeable, and we know that there's always an exception to every rule. We know
Correct.
we know that a narcissist can
Mhm.
have some traits and not have others. So we know that, but those are just some of the traits of what a narcissistic person can portray. And I've seen it on both sides of the coin, in men and women. And just like, it's a low self-esteem attraction, and like I said, it
Yeah.
just goes back to the law of attraction. Um, and so when dealing with a narcissistic person,
We want the power.
some you said what?
They want the power.
Do you think it's a false sense of power?
A false sense?
Yes.
Well, that they're trying to mount on something that they might not feel like they can get it in other areas, obviously, if they seek out for that.
So it's more forced.
So they can actually feel it real when they are getting it, which is how you continually feed into it.
Mm, okay. So would you say it's almost forced?
It's definitely forced.
Okay. So then allow me to bring up the two words demand and command. When
Mm-hmm.
one demands power, when one
Yeah, you're
dem-
screaming, I need it.
it is it's force. Anytime you demand something, it's because you don't have it.
Yeah, correct.
Anytime you command it, it's a sense, it's a presence. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
when you have power, you don't have to demand it. Your presence
Mm-hmm.
it exuberates that authority,
Correct.
and when you pay attention, I've learned to pay attention to the person who's usually the quietest person in the room, because in some cases they can sometimes be the wisest person, because
Mm-hmm.
their level of observation to everything that's going on. It's usually the person with the biggest mouth who's trying to force everybody in the room to pay attention to them. That's and
Coming in with our Bible study lesson today.
you said what?
I can easily tie it into my Bible study lesson today.
This is not church, Stacy. This is not church.
Come on, got Rashonda. Because it follows stuff, I'm telling you.
So,
It all goes.
so I know a lot of relationships, a lot of men and women who crave constant, excessive attention and admiration. And based on the
And then
based on the definition that I just read, that's part of a narcissist. So,
and can that be the same one then who is like, no, telling them they're the needy?
I mean, of course, sometimes yes. Sometimes yes. Um,
Okay.
but just as the doctor said in the article that we read, as far as trauma bonding, um, we have to be careful with. I always talk about our standards and the walls that we put up being egotistical or fear-based. Because with a narcissist will play into those fears. And a narcissist, what I've studied and what I've learned, a narcissist are the ones that oftentimes get you to fall in love quickly because they do everything that's on your list versus challenging your list to see if there's any flexibility, one, respectfully.
But also understand some, because I've been in this, don't even have a list because of low self-esteem, because of different betrayals, because of certain fears. Some you might not even have a list. So anything
That's the list.
is like, oh.
No, that's the list. The list that the people that say they don't have a list, they usually have the longest list. Because what you just stated, as far as their fears or the trauma that they've been through. So anything that makes them feel better than that list, the fears and the trauma that they've gone through, that's their list. So anything that makes them feel better than that, they're like, oh my God, he or she might be the one. You know, they quickly fall into that. And a narcissist will take advantage of that. You know, oh, I got them. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, men and women, I see it. I see it often.
Oh yeah.
I see it often. You know, so.
But do you still think it's a masculine trait? Because I do.
You said what?
When you're talking feminine or masculine.
As far as narcissist?
Yeah.
I beg to differ, and this is why. I don't think it's a sexual trait. I think it's equal across the board. I think what has happened is that it's been more placed on the male species of the two.
But
because, and this is why I say that. Because when you see women go around and they know a guy is into them and they manipulate him to get what she wants, to get him to do whatever she wants, that's narcissistic behavior. But because it's not placed often on women, it's deemed as a masculine or a man trait. But it's equal. I don't think that it's it's primarily men. I don't think it's primarily women. I think we all have some type of narcissistic behavior in us. And
correct. And I wasn't saying the male or female, sexual male or female. I was going with the spirit.
With masculine and feminine. Even then, I don't think it's masculine or feminine. I just think that it is. So the Kabbalah talks about polarity. And so polarity, each end of hot and cold is only measured in difference by degrees. So when you talk about narcissistic behavior, it's only measured by degrees as far as negative and positive narcissistic behavior. Because some narcissistic tendencies can protect you. It can protect you. And then you have the far end of it to where it becomes abuse. Does that make sense?
Where does it ever come protective?
Huh?
Where does that behavior ever come in? I'm trying to think of a scenario to line it with saying it's protective.
So,
Protective of your fear?
well,
Are you going with it in that?
so we know that anything excessive can be deemed as negative, right?
Correct.
Whereas if you create, as far as a standard of everyone needs intimate attention in a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting that, a narcissist is all about them. It's all about them, 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 them. That's the excessive end. But the other end of protection, okay, this relationship is not meeting needs, not out of fear, not out of trauma. It's just, I understand it's not meeting needs, so I need to pull back from this relationship. That's a positive. That's not a negative. That positivity see, we have been indoctrinated that certain words are triggers, and we're
Correct.
indoctrinated so heavy that when we hear certain words, it's either negative or it's positive.
Correct.
But in the spiritual,
And you go to different,
huh?
you can go to different parts of the town and hear that same stuff.
You can. And going back to
Yeah.
the Kabbalah, polarity is only measured by a difference in degrees. So one click to the right, that's just like for you, 72 may be cold, but 72 may be hot to me.
Yeah.
So
Butt warm all year long.
so going in one direction or the other is just a degree. It's just a measure of degree. So when you talk about polarity, that's what we are talking about. So as far as trauma bonding, I see a lot of relationships are trauma bonded. And that goes back to what you had mentioned, fears, uh, trauma of their childhood, trauma in their um, young adult relationships, trauma in their adult relationships. And instead of us taking time, and you've read the Relationship Discipline, and one of the things that Zoe talked about in there is one of his mentors. Um, his time frame, I think, was 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, as far
Yeah.
as taking time
A few stuff. Yeah.
between each relationship to heal and go within. Sometimes, and that's just a base. That's just a base. So,
Yeah.
sometimes you might need a year. Sometimes you might need 3 to 5 years. You said what?
And sometimes you can actually go quicker.
Yes, yes. And so
Sending that number up.
it's just a base number. Nothing is absolute. Nothing.
Absolutely.
That might not even be true. So yeah, so all right, we're good. We're 3 minutes over. So um we discussed
A lot.
the chaos. Um is it
Floating.
created? And we discussed trauma bonding, we discussed narcissistic behavior and tendencies. We touched on
That other
Uh,
New word.
yeah, we blah, 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 Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
We,
that one I need to look up.
we just touched on that, and when you look into that, you will see a lot of resemblance between Stockholm syndrome and trauma bonding. They are very similar. Um, and then, of course, narcissistic behavior. I personally believe that we all have those type of tendencies. It's just, it's how we deal with it. Um, it can be, it can become uh, something dark to deal with. I've dealt with it in my personal life um, on multiple occasions, giving and receiving.
Well, and I think a lot of that goes within the healing part of it. Once you can acknowledge on certain things, even if you have that behavior,
Mhm.
you just have to. Everything is getting dig within yourself.
Of course, and of course, and you know, and I always tell people, you know, once you understand your light and shadow self, that is when the beginning of you becoming whole begins. Um, I think sometimes what we do is when we deal with our shortcomings, instead of taking accountability for them, we place blame on others. Um,
Yeah.
in that form or fashion, you can never heal from that. But to heal, um, I always say,
You can temporarily, though, let me say, you can deal temporarily with it that way, but it will never heal because you've never done a root.
yeah,
It's just another band-aid that you're covering up.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, I agree. I agree. Um, so ending, um, once again, the sister Aries
Sweet.
Owens, hear me out.
Yes.
Go copper a book.
Get it? I just got it.
Did you?
Oh my gosh. I only read a couple of pages. Yes, I have mine.
Okay,
I was so excited when I got it.
good, good. I need to act, I'm gonna actually go on there and buy a couple more copies so I can gift them. Yeah, I'm gonna
Aw.
gift them out.
Yeah, that's a good.
So
She did really
yeah, she did. She did. And
good.
when I finish mine, I need to reach out to her and talk with her about her process of everything. Um, I'm
Good.
still working on mine. It's a lot. I didn't realize I didn't realize how much I've gone through in my life until I put it down on paper. I really didn't.
What's crazy is now start going back through because as you're putting it out, you still get enlightened.
Yes. Yeah.
I've seen myself and thinking of, wow, I forgot about that
Yeah. And I've
because that one thing is
and
trigger another.
and so the Virgo in me, Stacy, you've been a witness to it.
Amen.
Is that perfection thing. Um,
How did I say that?
so um, but one of the things that I've come to realize it might be
Comes with
it
procrastination.
well not only that, it might be a two book thing. Um,
Okay.
because it's a lot. Um, so I'm gonna continue writing. Um, I'll keep the family updated on as I'm writing. I want to get y'all. I want to give y'all quality. But I think and I believe that my life's journey will help someone. Um,
Oh, amen.
so, but with that being said, Aries out. Aries Owens, hear me out. Go get her book. I'm tired as fuck. Uh, I am.
Seriously,
But every week,
you got it.
every week, every week. So once again,
Back on move.
Aries out. Aries Owens. God,
You gotta quit.
Aries Owens. Hear me out. Copper book.
Yes.
My aunt Kim Black. painted my photos in the background, my paintings.
Move your head for a second.
Huh?
Move your head for a second.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Thank
Good.
you. That one, I love the one you picked, the right behind you.
Oh, the sunrise?
I do.
That one?
Yeah, I do love that one.
This one,
I can't see that
there you
one.
go.
Oh,
And then this one
I
right here.
can't. Oh, that one's pretty.
So
What is
there,
the one to the right?
my right or your right? This one?
Oh, sorry.
That one?
Your left. I don't even know. Yeah.
That one? So
Yeah.
there are stories behind all
Yeah. That's
behind all three paintings. Of course, the sunrise, the one right behind me, is self-explanatory. But a quick one. This one right here.
yeah.
So that is called Healed. That one was when my beloved cousin had beat cancer. That is when my aunt painted that. Now, the one over here, that painting is called The Crack in My Soul. That one my aunt painted right when my cousin started going through her fight with cancer and going through chemotherapy. So everything my aunt paints, there's always a story behind it. So for those who love her painting, and like I said, I have pictures of a lot of her paintings, not all of them, but a lot of her paintings, and I will begin to post them so you can see her work. She is an amazing artist. I love her and my cousin. They are dear to my heart. So anything else? Anything else? Anything else? No, there isn't anything else.
No, time to eat.
You said what?
And drive home.
You said what?
It's time to eat and drive home.
Yeah, I gotta eat too. I walked in the house and I sat right down in front of the computer. So,
See?
but I'm here. For everyone that tuned in tonight, we thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. Go share, support, like. We know that you may not agree with some of our thoughts and views, and that is okay. Drop your comments below. Continue the conversation.
Yes.
Continue the dialogue, even after the show. Once again, and I didn't even do an intro. Man, once again, I'm Mark D. This has been another episode of Candid Conversations. With me tonight, that sat in with me tonight, Stacy Balmuda, aka Balmater. So until next time, love y'all. Deuces.
Peace.